about yourself, what motivated you to rerun for Gilbert Town Council, and what experience you bring to this role.
And the last part I couldn't hear. What experience? What?
You bring to this role.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about myself. Grew up in Southern California, went to UCLA, graduated UCLA. I was in a rock band for about 10 years, moved to Arizona in late 93, bought a nightclub. It was very successful, but my partner made a few mistakes that cost us millions. That was unfortunate, but a setback. Uh, and that leads into part of what I think about local government, because Tempe was absolutely brutal on me the entire time I was doing business there. It was brutal, uh, to the point where uh, my attorney, in the end, would not charge me because he looked at it and said, "This is surreal. I can't charge you for this. This is an experience for me too." So part of it's not wanting to see the individual abused,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which really isn't happening here anymore. I think there was a period of time where uh, people were really getting pushed hard. Things were taking longer, but over the last even 10 years, uh, processes for getting into businesses, inspections, everything have gone a lot more smoothly and less, I guess, more pragmatically, less ideological, if you want to put it that way. And having been in business, hit the wall and had to get back up again, I know what it means. And I want this to be the place, I moved here specifically because of what Gilbert is, and want to keep it that way. I want to keep it a town. I hope that answers it.
It does. No, that's great. That's awesome. There's nobody else we'd want to have serving than somebody who's passionate about the community and seeing it pushed forward. When it comes to economic development and the business environment, what new or existing initiatives would you support to encourage businesses to start, grow, and stay in Gilbert?
What initiatives do I support? I don't
Hmm.
think there's any initiatives on the table that I'm aware of. Pretty much the state has hamstrung most municipalities from doing a lot. Uh, I feel badly that Dan Henderson's moving on to Glendale. He was awesome, and to do as much as he did with absolutely no subsidizations, uh, no real enticements, and to be able to sell Gilbert on what Gilbert is, was invaluable. And I'm hoping that the team he left behind, which he specifically trained to be able to replace him, I hope that they can do that, because in the end, that'll be business is what's going to keep Gilbert Gilbert. Otherwise, if we continue the path we've been on for a quarter century, uh, it will be it won't be good anymore. It will be not the place of the best services for the lowest dollar. It'll go other ways, and we have to continue to slow down and stop the rezoning of things to other than commercial and
Mhm.
like industrial, because that's what's going to support this community in the future. It's not going to be apartments. It's not going to be single family homes. It's going to be jobs, businesses, sales tax, different things like that that will propel us through build out into a sustainable community. I hope that answered it. Probably a little too short, but I hope it answered it.
No, no, you hit a lot of good points there. And you mentioned regulatory hurdles in regards to Tempe, but that's my follow-up to that is how would you address regulatory hurdles or permitting challenges within the town?
Well, one of the things I'd like to do is add about 5 people to the economic development department, not the basically the permitting process part of it.
Hmm.
That way, when somebody's, let's say, trying to build something, they're not coming back 3, 4, 5 times to fix their application. Because one thing I have seen is people coming back a half a dozen times,
Mm.
and we have the highest fees in the valley for SDF, system development fees.
Hmm.
And we need to provide, if we're going to be the highest, we also need to provide the best service for that. And we're convincing people to pay top dollar to be in Gilbert to, to serve our community, to bring jobs to our community. The least we can do is make it the least painful, way to get there, the quickest, the fastest, the cleanest. So that's extremely important to me, and that's the next thing I want to do. I got 3 people under in the economic development partner department itself, but development services is which does the permitting. I want to put at least 5 more people there, because that will get us to a point of having almost counter service.
Okay.
Phoenix beats us. Phoenix.
Hmm.
It's not acceptable. We need to be the best.
Okay.
So the one that
I like that. The town council has recently approved significant increases to utility rates. How do you balance infrastructure needs with the financial impact on residents and businesses?
Well, I think that's what they were trying to do. The only reason I voted against the 2 water increases and the sewer increases because of how we laid it out. In the beginning, I felt that we needed a very robust public outreach, because people weren't going to understand, why is my water going up? They did not understand what is being replaced, what is failing early. The comedy, I hate that word for this, but the comedy of errors. Every decision was made, pushing off some inspections, pushing off some repairs, the unanticipated consequences, all that all came in, and it all came in during COVID. I looked at a video of council being told in 2013 that we would start having failing pipes in 2020. That's when they started to fail. And I believe, I hope I'm right, that the largest increases in water and sewer fees have already been done. We've already basically tried to catch up to what it will cost to build this. The council directly before me voted in, I believe it was a $500 million bond to pay for that water treatment facility. Well, that has to be paid. You don't get around that. That's not moving money from one to another, because we're in an enterprise fund. You have to directly address it. You have to directly pay it. And it was a big hit that wasn't explained to people in advance the way it should have been. People are angry where they should be frustrated. And there's nothing wrong with being frustrated. Angry means you felt deceived, lied to, etc. And if we'd had the proper outreach, they'd probably be more frustrated than angry. And that's the only way to, you have to do it. Water is not a frivolity. It's an absolute need. We're in a desert. You have to have clean water. And I have plenty of people tell me that they don't like the quality of their water right now. Well, as this thing comes on this year, the new water treatment plant, it'll be, I believe, 50% on this year. And as they do the turnover, 100% early next year. I guarantee you'll taste a difference in water, because it will be pulling more out. And there's things that are in our water that weren't in it before. PFAS, stuff like that. Plastics that end up in your body and your brain needs to be taken out. And it's a bitter pill. There's no real way around it. The only way to address it would have been to have a much more robust program for people to understand why. And it's not the water itself in this case. It is the water filtration, the delivery systems, the waste systems, infrastructure. And if people could be allowed the time to digest what the infrastructure means as opposed to the water itself, it would be a lot easier for them to be frustrated instead of angry. And we could turn around and not have such an angry, divisive group where some people are purposely misinforming the public because they like to stir the pot. So for some people, it's fun to get on social media and just ride people up the flagpole. It happens. I wish it wasn't that way. But it really comes down to how it's explained. I know that they just did a pause on a couple CIPs where it saved us $22 million in water infrastructure costs. And that will be reflected down the line as we pay back this bond. But there is no not paying municipal bonds. It really has to do with information, knowing, let's say, I believe it's October, unless something changes, 70% of the water cut from the Colorado River is being designated for Arizona. And I believe it's 41% of our water comes from the Colorado River. But during that period of time, Lauren Hendricks, state representative, he got $32 million from the state grant to help build more wells. And I believe it's 8 or 9 wells. I can't remember, come on this year. And that will offset any possible loss. And there's other communities, and if you've read the news lately, there's a couple that are rationing water, that are having some problems, especially one mining community. I can't think of the name of it, but they're advising their residents to shower at work because most of them work at the mine, and the mine has the priority for water. We're going to be in an excellent place. We're not going to be jumping up and down or flipping out if you have to have a no water Wednesday or something insane. We're in a very good place, but it all has to do with communication. I'm willing to absolutely say we completely failed the general public in communication. That was my problem with it. If we hadn't failed, people would be in a better place. And I think even 2 years from now, people will look back and go, I get it, as they see other communities having to do the same thing. We just happen to have our most amount of growth from 95 to 2010. And that's when all this stuff is failing. The stuff that was built, ductile ironite, things like that, they were built in that time frame, and they're failing now. Other communities built before that with different materials. Now they're coming to end of life. And the few that did build with what we built with in certain areas, they're having failures also. So they're going to see rapid increases, especially just basically to the meters. So they can just disperse that in an even anticipated method. If that makes sense.
Thank you, Jim. For our next question, we'll be talking about Gilbert's upcoming build out. As Gilbert approaches build out, what types of businesses and or industries should the town actively prioritize or not prioritize, and why?
First thing we should ignore completely is don't even return a call to data centers. Don't even return a call. It's too much water, too much electricity, not enough employees to offset any of that. You'll have 13 people over a couple 100,000 square feet, and it's not going to be, it's not a good return for us. And it's a horrible waste of water, electricity, and space. One of the things that we should be focusing on is global headquarters for people. Let's just take an example. TSMC is up off Deer Valley, up off the 17 somewhere, but they don't have their headquarters there. What better a place than Gilbert to do that? Because this is where you have your highest living standard, your lowest crime, your best schools. And that's what these people are interested in. And they're bringing, these are people that make $250,000, $350,000 a year. And those are the businesses we should be trying to land here. Stuff that brings in these really high paying jobs, keeps people local, and supports our way of life. We should also be looking at light industrial stuff that does a lot, but not stuff like, let's say, batteries. Batteries are caustic. It's not right for Gilbert. But if we can do more things, more proper outlets, like Sweetwater moved here instead of the west side, it would have been great. But basically look for stuff that's bringing in the highest standard of living people. We need to do some things to appeal to that. We have to continue to work on Gilbert's culture itself, what it is that they're looking for, and that's schools. That's having some things besides just the heritage district. We have to have a little bit more, and we have to work on that. And it's not out of our reach, and it's not a big cost to get there, but it's something we can do if we just start to stretch out. One thing we haven't done for years is a lot of travel for economic development. It was basically taken off the table about 15 years ago. One of the reasons that we weren't considered for some projects is we would go there. The junket was a no. Not every junket's going to result in landing a massive business. But if you take 0 swings, you strike out every time.
Well, continuing with the business and industry theme, Jim, what role do you think redevelopment should play in Gilbert's future, and what outcomes would you hope to see from that effort?
Well, redevelopment is going to be a huge portion of Gilbert's future because the whole northwest corridor from Arizona Avenue just past Lindsay, I believe, and down quite a bit. Almost 12% of our municipality is now considered a redevelopment zone. Now, what that means is that people that live there will have access to some things to make their homes better, things like that. Streets will be upkept more, et cetera. But we can take some of the lower performing things, and with what occurs under those circumstances, those property owners can benefit by either reconstructing something, selling, or bringing in a new business as a tenant, or expanding their current business in a way that if the square footage isn't wasted. There's a lot of parking lot per se, and parking lot doesn't make you money. It's the building with everybody in it. And you want those jobs, you want those sales, you even want residents, in a sense, if it's the right area, to be almost vertically integrated, because that expands the useful square footage of that area. I believe that we will see, not really akin to the Heritage District, but we'll see quite a growth in business up there. We'll see some multi-use, especially along Baseline Road. I don't think that we won't see grand apartments like you see in Mesa, but you will see some multi-use with bottom level restaurants, offices, maybe even second level offices, and maybe apartments above that. But there's going to be no chance that turns into an apartment road. Zero. There's too much business opportunity in there. And if we can just relax the handcuffs that's on economic development a little bit, I'm not saying let them run wild, because certainly people like to give away more than they should, but we have to find a nice, happy medium to get to, so that these people can bring the most they can back to us, because we don't have a lot of time and space like we did 20 years ago. If you look back at, let's call it 2000, Cooley Station, they rezoned that host set. I mean, there's still apartments that are breaking ground today from 2002. And trust me, I get the emails and the people yelling at me over it. But that was approved 20 years ago, 24 years ago, I guess. And it's not really right anymore for us. But you have to respect property rights. Gilbert's not some municipality that's into abusing eminent domain. We don't take property rights for people, because we very much believe people should do as much as they can with their property without destroying their neighbors. So we're going to see the right growth there. We're going to see something that's a little bit more focused on sustainability rather than just growth. Again, you go back to Cooley Station, that was all about growth. Grow, bring people. Okay, fine. But if you go east of, let's call it Higley on Williamsfield, it doesn't really look like Gilbert anymore. It was growth for growth's sake. Now it has to be really strategic to make sure it's sustainable growth. It's bringing in a return on investment for the people that live here. This is why we want it here. In fact, I got chided by our former mayor, because she didn't understand the process. That when somebody wanted a zoning change that I didn't think was necessarily good for the people of Gilbert, I literally asked, what is in it for the people of Gilbert to do this? I don't see this as benefiting Gilbert at all. And I think that's an important question that needs to be asked to every single developer, especially every person asking for a rezoning. What's in it for the people of Gilbert? Because we have a town, we have a community, and if we kept acting the way we did in 2000 or 2005 and growing for growth's sake, we'll lose this town. And I don't want to lose this town. It's got here intentionally. It's had its hiccups. There's no reason to be upset at anybody for decisions they made that a different time in that seat brought different challenges. But we can certainly look at it now as though we only have 15 to 30,000 people left, 5-10% until build out's accomplished. What is it that's going to maintain this and make it sustainable, rather than being a draw on the general fund, rather than bringing elements that we don't want in the community? And yes, Gilbert deserves to be a little snobby. We have a great community, and it's been worked on very hard by every council from today backwards, mistakes or not. It was very intentional, and it's turned out great. So the charge is to maintain that and be really specific about how it happens. because it can happen in the next 5 to 10 years. It'll probably really happen in the next 6 or 7 years, but the full build probably wouldn't happen until 10. And we have to make sure we don't make those mistakes. It has to be gone through 6 ways from Sunday and no sweet talking through. Oh, but because you did this down the street, in 2014. Well, it doesn't matter. That was 2014. We have to keep our eye on the ball to make sure that every business that comes here is served, and that what comes here serves the people of Gilbert.
Thank you, Jim. I'm going to switch to governance, Anya. With the transition in town leadership, including the recent departure of the town manager, how will you help ensure stability and effective governance during this period?
Well, stability, the staff that Patrick has had in place. We've lost Dan, which to me was a tragedy. I didn't want to lose Dan, but it's a different set of challenges for him, and he's doing it. But right now it's stable. There's certainly going to be some flux. People will leave because there's a new town manager. People will leave because they feel that there's a glass ceiling above them. But I haven't met anybody working for this town that really doesn't love the town and love their job. It seems that people are excited about it. The people that don't live here want to live here, and they're saving their dollars to try. Hence, that's probably part of the push for affordable housing, which is a whole other subject. But I don't fear stability in the bureaucracy of Gilbert. I don't see a mass exodus happening anytime soon, anytime at all. People are paid well. They have a 4-day work week. They do 10 hours a day. Most of them stay longer. A lot of them show up on Fridays just because they get interested in their project and want to finish it off. They generally, all of them seem to be enthused about their work. So enthusiasm goes farther than anything. Loving what you do goes farther than anything. So I don't see any problem with that. And you know what? If there's a problem with it, we'll deal with it when it comes. Every business has to. I've had to deal with it in my business. It wasn't people leaving, but just changes, and unanticipated things need to be dealt with, and they need to be dealt with smartly and calmly.
I appreciate it, Jim. And we got 5 minutes left, so we got 3 questions left here.
Wow,
one of those, no, one of those is Gilbert
Yeah.
has a large and growing municipal budget, right? How will you approach budgeting and prioritization to ensure responsible spending while supporting essential services and economic growth? So hit that 2 minutes.
I'll hit it in less than 2 minutes. The priorities are always police, fire, roads, water, those kind of things. The icing on the cake is things. Let's just pull parks because it has a very large budget. We do need parks. We need more fields, etc. But we need to push back some of those projects that are scheduled for there, because we don't have the ability to grow taxes without taking more from people. So we need to grow the base first. You don't spend it and then find a way to get it. Let's grow this base and then get to some of those things. But the prioritization must be police, fire, roads, water. That's it. I mean, you can't have a community without water. You can kind of have a community without police and fire, probably not where you want to live. It's kind of hard to get around without roads.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get stuck not being able to play ball one weekend in a park, that's not going to kill you. But I want to avoid that. I want to take our parks and really make a concerted effort to serve the kids more. I mean, baseball, soccer, stuff like that. Parks were much more for kids than adults. And we've really kind of gone a little sideways and started making it a little bit more about adults and that kind of investment. Right now is not the time for that. Let's push some of this back. Let's get ourselves growing, as far as a base. And if our base grows to support it, fantastic. If our base doesn't support it, then we're not in trouble asking the residents for more money.
Yeah. Well, what responsibility do elected officials, this changing gears completely, but what responsibility do elected officials have in setting the tone for a respectful discourse, and how do you model that in your interactions?
Well, I'm known for being a little mouth. I've actually worked extremely hard. Actually, Kenny Buckland pointed it out to me. Because of my size, my voice, the lines on my head, I look angry when I'm not. I sound it when I'm not. And I try to be very cognizant of that. There's some things I just choose not to respond to. People say some pretty horrible things, during communication from citizens. I just shrug my shoulders. They must have been deeply hurt to be that personal and mean and just move on because I don't know what got them in the past, but I don't need to add to their pain. Uh, I think it's returning calls. It's being patient. Uh, it's listening to their concern and addressing it without being like, why don't you understand this? Well, of course they don't understand it. They haven't spent the last 4 years reading budgets and looking at the debt we have and looking at what's going to need to be fixed. So taking time with them, and I think when you do that and you offer to get a cup of coffee with somebody, it changes the demeanor. And I do that all the time. I
Yes.
get a cup of coffee, go get a cigar with some people. My one vice. Uh, it changes people, and people leave those meetings maybe not always happy, maybe still frustrated, but they don't feel disrespected or diminished whatsoever. I won't let somebody leave until I can come to a common ground with them.
Well, they feel heard, right?
Yeah, they feel hurt,
So,
they feel angry.
well, I appreciate you on that. And what does a strong, effective partnership with the chamber look like in practice? And how would you engage with the business community if reelected?
The engagement with the chamber. I mean, I think all of us are listening to what chamber members say. We're all looking at chamber positions. Uh, it's a consideration always. Sometimes it's not just the chamber. Sometimes you have to go, yeah, but the residents need this. It doesn't balance the right way, or I see something from a different point of view. But I think it's staying engaged because you have an opportunity to deal with hundreds of business owners that are generating money for this town, and you want them excited, you want them to be heard, and you want them to keep investing in their community, Gilbert. And I think that just by always being available, by calling Sarah too much and ask her if there's something that she wants to talk about, uh, it helps because you're able to hear at least a voice from that side without having to try to speak to 700 different people. You're hearing the board's voice, or you're hearing a couple members have brought this up, and it's a good touch point, and it's just something you get to consider.